A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome you all to this week's weekly market update presentation. And it's been a couple of weeks since we last conducted our weekly market presentation. But anyhow, as usual, I will be talking about our market performance from both the local and global fronts. So, starting off with the stock exchange, Colombo Stock Exchange performance for this week. After 2 weeks of market closure due to New Year holidays and the subsequent market closure, it has initiated its business activities market proceedings on 25th Monday. So the decision to close the market for a week was majorly due to the prevalent economic crisis, where the country has almost declared its inability to repay its sovereign bonds, plus the rating downgrades by three major rating agencies. So it's obvious that we had to expect a downward trend in both of the indices. So to have a bit of a control, that's why the reason the market closure has been declared. And they come up with some regulations afterward as of the initiation of market proceedings back in 25th. But anyhow, as it was expected, market had witnessed its greatest collapse in history in the SPI index, whereas it lost 621 points to close at 7,513.85, and together with that, S&P SL 20 index also declined by 268 points to close at 2,355.5. So market proceedings didn't take place for a longer period, but was limited to like 3 minutes, as the third tier of the circuit breaker was stripped due to S&P SL 20s fell over by 10%. So market had to close as of the SEC regulations, and the turnover and the foreign buying and selling as of that reason was relatively recorded a lower value, whereas turnover was only amounted to be 265 million, and foreign purchases again, as of a positive note, was higher than the foreign sales. Purchases were recorded to be an amount of 17 million, whereas only 2 million worth of foreign sales were reported. So the same momentum was continued in the Tuesday's trading session as well, whereas SPI declined by further 600 points to close at 6,905.37, and S&P SL 20 index also declined by 229 points to close at 2,125.96. So turnover level slightly picked up, but as of this major fall, market proceedings even didn't taken place for a longer time. As of the third tier circuit breaker was stripped, the market had to close. So turnover was only amounted to be 800 million for the day, and again foreign purchases picked up, recording a net value of 44 million, on contrary to 3 million worth of foreign sales reported. But during Wednesday's trading session, market gained a bit of a positivity and recorded a turnaround to ended up in green zone, whereas SPI gained 375 points to close at 7,280.52, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 230 points to close at 2,356.71. This was majorly underpinned by the subsequent announcement of World Bank giving its financial assistance to Sri Lanka with $600 million to recover from the debt crisis as an aid to Sri Lanka. And we have observed that the larger amount of buying and selling were reported, and both foreigners and local investors have engaged in the market proceedings. So turnover was picked up to a significant amount of 2.1 billion for the day, and even foreign purchases were picked up to amount of 82 million, on contrary to 45 million worth of foreign sales reported. And the same momentum, same bullish momentum continued for rest of the 2 days as well. During Thursday's trading session, SPI gained another 330 points to close at 7,611.43, and S&P SL20 index also gained 147 points to close at 2,503.73. Market turnover was recorded to be an amount of 2.9 billion, and foreign sales for the day slightly picked up over foreign purchases. That was amounted to be 108 compared to 105 million worth of foreign purchases reported. So during Friday's trading session, ASPI increased, but that was not a significant increase, just went up by 12 points to close for the week at 7,624.26, and S&P SL20 index also gained 5 more points to close at 2,509.24 as of the closure for this week's market activities. The turnover was amounted to be 2.4 billion, slightly lower compared to the previous day. But anyhow, foreign purchases were picked up to record a net value of 82 million, whereas only 20 million worth of sales were reported. So for the entire week, net foreign inflow worth of 152.8 million was reported, and compared to the Monday's the huge fall, which has reported, which led the SPI to settle at 7,513.85, was picked up to 7,624.26 by the end of the week, gaining 1.47% increase for the week itself. So market is still fragile due to the burning macroeconomic concerns, tensions, which are not completely sorted out yet. We are having a lot more of a crisis, and we see the inflation rates go up, the commodity prices are going up. So, however, we would like to stick with the statement that buy when there's blood in the streets, even if the blood is your own, which indicates that worse things seem in the market, but the better opportunities for profits that you can expect. So that's what we can tell you from our end. So moving to the economic news, there were a lot of negative sort of news we've been hearing in our day-to-day life, but out of that, it has been quoted by the central bank governor at a discussion with members of Sri Lankan Chamber of Commerce that we are very hopeful in reaching a staff level agreement with International Monetary Fund within the next 2 months. And it was also mentioned that the progress of this decision will largely underpinned by Sri Lankan structural reforms that are to be taken place, and also the establishment of macro fiscal policy framework, which considered to be a vital factor in this regard. So, meanwhile, as of the comments from some of the market analysts, it has been forecasted that Sri Lanka inflation rates, the official rates, will be go up to around 30% levels by June, and at the same time, the foreign reserves of Sri Lanka will be sunk to zero. So, and with the peak of around the price hikes in gas, electricity, oil, and other essential commodities, the price of entire Sri Lankan markets are to be go higher in future. So these are, but anyhow, despite all of these things, IMF has given a forecast to Sri Lanka economy to grow at a 2.6% rate for this year. It was 1% down from year 2021. But anyhow, this growth itself is largely determined upon the reforms that Sri Lankan government are to take place, and the forecast will give a little bit of a positivity, and the forecast itself will depend upon the suggestions that are made by the IMF and how Sri Lankan government is going to implement those. So On the other hand, S&P Global Ratings have recently downgraded its long-term and short-term foreign currency sovereign ratings for Sri Lanka to a selective default from the C, which they have given prior. And for local currency sovereign ratings, they affirmed triple C minus for long-term and C for short-term. This is in line with the rest of the two rating agencies, where previously Fitch Ratings has downgraded Sri Lanka sovereign bonds to the credit ratings to CC from triple C, whereas Moody's also downgraded to CA from CAA2. So all of the three major rating agencies have downgraded its credit ratings for Sri Lanka, and that indicates a bit of a hard time for Sri Lanka, and it has been already declared, as I mentioned previously, that Sri Lanka is unable to pay its debt right at the moment because we have to secure our reserves to import our essentials. So, yes, we are in an economic turmoil, burning economic crisis. So, not more of a positive things to be shared, but anyhow, we all are hoping to see some kind of a silver ray in the dark cloud that we are having right now. So, looking at the treasury yields went up this week as well, but that's only for 3 months, whereas for 3 months, the yield has increased by 32 basis points from 23.21% to 23.53%, whereas for 6 month and 12-month yields, the yields have been declined. 6 month yield was declined to 23.96% from over 24.77% from the previous week, and 12-month yield also declined by 27 basis points to 24.09% over 24.36% from the previous week. And central bank has managed to sold out a net worth of 87.5 million treasuries at its auction held on 27th Wednesday. And this seems to be the successful auction in the recent 4 weeks of time. So, looking at the global commodity markets and financial markets, oil prices for the week went up despite the Russian supply considerations, that with the prevailing lockdowns in China, there was some kind of a demand concern of oil supply, so the prices went up. But the gold prices, aluminium, and copper prices declined for the week despite the slight increases that were reported by the very end of the week. And these gold prices are outweighed by the pressure from the dollar, and the increase by the very end of the week was reported due to the lower US Treasury yield. And aluminium prices also dropped due to Chinese lockdowns, and copper prices rose on Friday due to slight pullback in the dollar. But throughout the week, it has reported a weekly drop, and it was expected that the lockdowns in China and the rate hikes from the US Federal Reserve will further deteriorate the prices of copper. So, looking at the international financial markets, world shares rose on Friday, ending the month of April for 2022, but the prices were at a historic low, and that was worst since April 2020, in 2 years of a time. And but anyhow, US stocks in Walmart, especially the tech stocks, were managed to record higher corporate earnings for the quarter, and we could have observed a tech shares rally in the Wall Street, and that particular trend was continued in Asian and European markets for the day as well. So European shares gained by the very end of the week, and also the Asian shares, where Hong Kong listed tech stocks rose as much as of 10%, and the same trend could have been observed in the Indian market as well. So those are the points that I have to share from my end. Presentation will continue by Harin from this onwards. Over to you, Harin.
Thank you, Sachini. So let's look at gold, what has happened during the past few days. So looking at gold, the price was bit above the daily resistance 1940 1960, trying to make it a daily support level. So failure to sustain over the level of 1940 1960 and above that key level, the price came down and it was basically declining towards again to the daily support level 1840 1860. So we do have a psychological area of 1900. So we were able to see how price managed to come down to that critical level and also make a low of 1872.21 on 28th of April. So now what we can clearly see is we do have a declining momentum. So and the other thing is the price seems to be trying to make its way towards the daily resistance 1940 1960 once again, but the moving averages of course indicates us somewhat around a bullish bearish momentum, since the price is trading below both the moving averages 18 and 8. RSI is in the mid range, so it's fine. At the moment, we do have some sort of a bearish momentum, so this could basically indicate that the price could come again to the daily support level 1840 1860, this time fully testing that key level. So and the other looking at our all share index, so all share index made a significant low on 27th of April, which is 6724.39. So after making that key level, making that significant low, we were able to see the index moving towards above the key level of 7000 once again. So now it is trading in between a daily support level of 7450 and daily resistance 8050. So in between that key areas, we can clearly see that the index is trading. So once the index is above the 8 EMA, which is quite the fast moving average that I have added. So once it is above that 8 moving average and also crossing above the daily resistance, we might be able to see it moving towards the next daily resistance of 8550, 8600. So the current, the nearest resistance is at 8000 being a strong psychological area once again. RSI comes to a level of 30.68. So it is in the mid range, but it's just few points closer to the oversold overbought category as well. Oversold, sorry, pardon me. So looking at our topic of the week, which is Expo. So we can clearly see how Expo has also made a low of 90 rupees on 27th of April. So after making that significant low of 90 on 27th of April, it managed to bounce back above the 100 key area and also reach couple of resistance again. So the previous daily resistance of previous daily resistance, which is basically 120 130, that has been broken out and we had quite a retest. So even this key area would be still a resistance. So why I have taken this as a resistance is only because the price didn't manage to cross above 165 175. It didn't cross above that key area, so that means it would be taken as a key level of resistance. So once it is above that key resistance, so we'll be having the next resistance 210 220, we might be able to see some sort of a pullback, minor pullback towards the daily resistance to make it a daily support level. So then it will be officially a new demand zone, and then we'll be able to see it heading towards the daily resistance 210 220. So even to head towards that 210 220 key region, we might have to wait till the moving averages cross, or either the price trades above the moving averages, which indicates as a bullish momentum when the price is basically trading above those moving averages. So the RSI also is in the mid range. So previously RSI was quite oversold again, and we were able to see it below the level of 30. Now it is in the level of 4 mid range. So it is 40.9. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe to our video. I hope you all enjoyed it.